Okay, so today you're going to be finding the distance between 2 points. The IXL code is AYD, and then the formula for the distance is equal to the square root of. As you can see, you're taking the difference of your x values, squaring it, and then you're adding it to the difference of the y values and squaring it. So the first example is you're finding the distance between 7, 0 and 10, 4. So we know this is your first and your second point. This is xy. This is xy. Since this is your first point, which is 7, 0, the 1s are on the bottom, and then the 2s are on the bottom for 10, 4. So the formula is the distance is equal to the square root of. You're taking the difference, squaring it, adding the difference of the y, squaring it. So I just left some space for the values, starting with the first parentheses tells you to take the second x first. So the second x would be this 10 and subtract it from the first x, which is 7, and then the second y, which is 4, subtract it from the first y, which is 0. Okay, so the second value always goes first, subtract it from your first. The difference is equal to, if you reduce this, 10 subtract 7 is 3 squared, add 4 subtract 0 is 4 squared. The difference is equal to 3 squared is 9 and 4 squared is 16. So the difference is equal to the square root of 9 plus 16, which is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So when you go back to your IXL, it wants whole numbers or simplified radical expression, so your answer is just 5 because it doesn't have a radical. Next example, 7, 5. I'm sorry, negative 7, 5. Negative 7, 5. And then negative 2, negative 7. Check. Yes. Okay, so this is your first point, second point, so x1, y1 because it's in the 1, and then x2, y2 because it's the second point. Distance is equal to the square root of x2 subtract x1, y2 subtract y1. So the distance is equal to square. You're taking the second x first, which is negative 2, subtract it from the first x, which is negative 7, and you do have a double negative, and we know that becomes a positive, but we will reduce later. Y2 is negative 7, subtract y1, which is negative 7. So just to make sure these go together, in the second goes, I'm sorry, these two go together, starting with this value. Negative 2 subtract negative 7, negative 7 subtract negative 5. Oops. Y2 is negative 7, but Y1 is 5. So I messed up right there. That is a 5. Okay? So distance is equal to, double negatives become a positive, and we have negative 2 add 7 is 5 squared, add negative 7, negative 5 is negative 12 squared. So difference is equal to 5 squared is 25, add negative 12 squared. Negative 12 squared means you're multiplying negative 12 twice. So the two negatives do become a positive, and 12 times 12 is 144. So the difference is equal to the square root of 169, and that is equal to 13. Oops, 13. Okay, so sometimes you will make mistakes, so I did make a mistake up here. Just make sure you take your time and look at the x, y values correctly. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have the square root of 50. obviously that is not a perfect square. So what you want to do is you're going to take your perfect square list. So perfect squares. We know that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you do not have one of these that reduces perfectly, like 169, it's obviously there. Oops, 169 is obviously there. And the square root of 25 is there. So those are easy questions because you can just find the square root. But if you do have the square root of 50, which is not on here, you want to break up the perfect square into one of these values that multiplies it by. So for example, 50. I can make 50 by multiplying 25 times 25 times, oh my gosh, times 2, right? So nothing bigger goes into 50 on this list besides 25. And we know that if we take the square root of 25 and give 5 the square root of 2, and that is what IXL wants you to write in. Another example would be something like 72, the square root of 72. Oops. So this one's tricky because there's a lot of numbers that divide into 72. So we know that 72 is divisible by 4. So 4 times 18 gives you 72. Another number that gives you 72 is 9 times 8 gives you 72, right? And then we also know that 36 times 2 gives you 72. So again, these are your perfect squares. But you're going to take the one that is the largest. So I would not pick 4 and 18 because that's too small compared to 36 and 2. So 72 is reduced by 36 times 2, which we know that if we take the square root of 36, that's 6 square root of 2. So this would be the IXL answer. Okay. Let me know if you have any more questions. That is all. Bye.